Hey everyone, welcome to Princess the Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to RWBY Volume 9, Chapter 10, the finale of the Ever After season, volume, arc, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it sucks that this volume was so short, both in terms of episode runtime and in terms of episode count. But we kind of know why. Like, it seemed to be like a budget issue from everything I've read, but also that makes no sense because they're doing a fucking movie with DC, and on top of that they just had an anime, a spin-off anime. They just released a new game semi recently. It's like, let's be honest, Rooster Teeth, and by extension the RWBY, have the money. That's not an issue. The issue is that they're spending it on this other stuff. That's what the problem is. The main series isn't getting as properly funded as it needs to be because all the money is going to a random crossover movie with DC. Because anyone needs or wants that. The game is like fun and everything. Well, why do you need the movie? Why do you need a spin-off anime? That's not even good. Like, why do you need this stuff? It seems like just ways to waste their money rather than putting it into the actual, main series. That, none of this stuff would have existed without. It just seems like a really strange move. And it's getting people worried. Like, people are worried that Volume 10 is not going to be funded. I've been seeing this pretty much the entire season, but especially in the second half of this season. People have been saying this all over social media. There's concern over whether or not Volume 10 is going to get funded. And it's like, they have the money. And again, Rooster Teeth very much has the fucking money. If they're not supplying the RWBY with the money necessary, that's fucked up. And again, especially when they're giving them these spin-off things that aren't necessary. Focus on the main series. But anyway, so last we left off, RWBY is communicating with the tree / the blacksmith. They're kind of the same thing, according to what the blacksmith said, but it's a more simplistic way to look at it. If you view it that way, I guess it's just a complex thing that we're probably not going to get all the answers to. And RWBY is going around this space filled with a bunch of different weapons and basically being given the choice. It's like, pick any of these out. Imagine the person that you could be with them. And of course, one of the weapons that she sees is her mother's, Summer Rose's. And so she reaches out to that one, and that's where last episode left off. But meanwhile, at the tree, the rest of the team, as well as Jean, have finally made their way there after, coming to a lot of acceptance and coming to terms with everything that's been going on. They've finally begun to heal. And I think that's the biggest theme of this volume. Healing. It's not about tragedy. It's not about a fall from grace. It's not about... It's not about depression, exactly. It's about healing. It's about coming back from all of that stuff. And like they kept saying last episode, that's not something that you can do for someone else. Speaking as someone who went through depression, yes, friends and family being there can help. And it's not saying that you can't support them. But in the end, it's a personal journey. And only you can make the decisions in the end that lead one way or another. RWBY needs to make this decision herself. She needs to come to terms with things herself. And yeah, her friends can still stand by her side and support her. They're still supporting her. They're protecting her from the cat, who is the main villain of this arc, of this volume. Even more than Neo. It's like, this is a very powerful, well-made volume. Even for the shorter runtime, even for the shorter episode count, they did so well at showing this journey. And we know RWBY's going to come back from it in this episode. That's super fucking obvious. No one's doubting that. But it's all about how she does it, how she comes to terms with everything she's been through, all the trauma, all the pain, all the doubt, everything she's been feeling, the feeling of not being enough. How is she going to come to terms with that? What is going to allow her to rediscover herself and come back stronger than before? That's the question we're going to be answering. Jean has fallen off the tree, but again, we know he's going to be fine. Like, there's a practically zero chance of anything actually happening to him. The cat and Neo, however, there's a very high chance of them both dying. Like, actually dying. Or the cat could, also get ascended. Will Neo get ascended? Who fucking knows, honestly, at this point. We don't actually... The cat says that non-Afterans don't get ascended, but I guess we don't technically know that for sure. So maybe Neo will as well. Maybe they both will. Hell, maybe the cat won't leave Neo's body first, and they'll both get ascended together and become one being. That would be interesting. I'm still on the fuck Neo train, by the way, if anyone was wondering. I still hate her. Like, I'm being nice about it here, but I still hate her. I still want her to die. But as long as she doesn't go back to, which right now it seems like it's kind of impossible, based on the fact that she has no attachments left in the other world. As long as she doesn't go back to, I'll be fine. If she's stuck in here, then that's punishment enough that she can never escape. And I feel bad for the Afterans, of course. But hey, if it drives her crazy and whatnot, that would be at least nice. But yeah, I'm not getting over that. She killed Little. It's like, yes, Little will ascend most likely. I'm very certain. But still, my phone is going off like crazy. I am on the fuck Neo train for good. And so no matter what, if this is Neo's final season, good fucking riddance. I don't give a shit. I mean, I was never the biggest Neo fan anyway, so whatevs. Doesn't hurt me at all. But anyway, so we're just gonna get this started. We're gonna hope for the best and see how Volume 9 ends. And yeah, we'll be watching the opening because it's our last chance to do so. Wonder if there will be any big changes in it. Unfortunately, the RWBY had already said, I think a couple of them said this was like their favorite episode. I think Barb said that, which is a little issue. Obviously, I mentioned in previous episodes that I don't like it when the crew does that. But I'm still going to forge just my own opinions on it, and we'll see how it goes. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and for now, I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Some big information about the brothers here. We find out that they were Afterans. and that they left the Ever After because their way of acting, let's just put it that way, was becoming troublesome. People have pointed out in the past that the brothers were not really the best, that they kind of sucked. I really can't argue with that. And we're kind of seeing it's like they sucked so bad, this world literally just told them to fuck off and make their own. Which is just amazing. It's hilarious. But at the same time, it's really fascinating because what is this going to mean? Are the brothers in the end going to have to return to the Ever After instead of staying in Remnant? Because we know at the end the relics are going to be brought together. That's obviously where it's all going. But what is it leading to? This opens up so many more possibilities and ideas, and I am really invested. Obviously, we knew that somewhat would come back. We knew that they were always going to be ascended and that they would be better than they were before, because that's how ascension works. And we saw that firsthand in the other episode with the genial gems. So getting to see somewhat come back here, it's like, God, that made me cry. Like, that's the one moment of this that made me cry, actually. Like, even as good as all the stuff with Summer Rose was, and all the stuff with Ruby herself, and them finally getting to leave, and Ruby, finally just finding confidence and love for herself. The thing that made me cry was Somewhat's return. Of all the things. But you have no fucking idea how much I love that goddamn mouse. They are the best. I do wish they could have returned. They could have come back to the to Remnant with them all. But I also like the ending that they were given. Watching over the Ever After, following Team RWBY and Jean's leave of it, and especially watching over Juniper. I like that. I think that's a good end. As for Neo's end, I still wish she died, but her, pun intended, turning over a new leaf and choosing to ascend herself, I can live with that. Because once she comes out, she'll most likely be someone different. She will most likely not even remember her previous life. And that gives her the opportunity to be better. And I can live with that. I've said it time and time and again. I believe in second chances. As much as I fucking hated Neo. Like, you have no idea there. But as much as I did, I still do believe in second chances, and I believe that Neo getting this second chance is not a bad thing. That it allows her to become someone who she can be happy with. Because all she ever lived for at this point was Roman. And I don't know the backstory. I have not read the book, Roman Holiday, I think it's called. I haven't read the book, so I don't know her backstory exactly. I just got the glimpses of it. It looked like she maybe had abusive parents and Roman killed them and saved her. That's kind of what I got from the the portraits we saw in this volume. It sucks that her backstory is relegated to alternate material. I've never been a big fan of that kind of thing. I don't think you should have to read or look at alternate material to understand what's going on in the main series. But it's not that big a deal. Honestly, I wasn't that invested in finding out her backstory anyway, to be fair. Jean turning back into his younger self raises issues, just like it raised issues with it happening to Marco in Star vs. The Forces of Evil. And I know some of you are going to be reeling that I'm referencing Star vs. here, but it's comparable. For those who don't know, in Star vs., Marco Diaz, the main male character, he at one point like spends like a couple decades traveling between dimensions, and it grows into an adult, like a 30-year-old adult. And at the like end of the episode, he turns young again, and it like a 14-year-old, and it's like, okay, but he still has all of those experiences. He still has all of those experiences, all of that life lived. The only difference is he's physically younger again. That's weird. And especially with the fact that he and Star get together. Like, that's really fucking weird. So the idea of, like, Jean ending up with anyone at this point would just, like, make me uncomfortable, to be honest. Because it's like, this is like a 30-year-old man in the body of a 19-year-old boy. He still has all of those memories and experiences. His mind was not wiped. He is older in all senses but physical. That's fucking weird. It just is. There's no easy way to really come back from that. The only real way would have been to reverse time on him somehow. Not just make him look young again. Even if his hair is slightly different and like he has like some different like colored streaks in it, but you would actually have to make him younger, like in all ways, which means he would forget everything that happened to him since he came to the ever after. And it's like, that would also cause a lot of problems where it's like, oh, Team RWBY would then have to explain everything to him, which would be a lot to deal with. And it's like, okay, we don't need Jean kind of coming to terms with all of that. It's just like there's really no good fix for doing something like this. I don't blame the RWBY for the way they handled this necessarily, because again, there's no good answer to when you have a character who like magically ages up or is aged up through shenanigans like this or whatnot. There's no good way to fix that and make it not weird. It's weird. It's gonna be weird. But we'll see where things go from there. RWBY, seeing the visions, seeing what happened with her mother, like, you know we're going to find out now, like, what actually happened in the future, whether it's Raven who directly tells us or we find out through something like that. So, she had told Tai Yang she was on a mission for Ozpin, but we find out that in reality, she and Raven were off doing their own thing. We don't know what. But it was her last mission. She died, and Raven has hid this secret ever since. And we even see back in that time, too, Raven wanted Summer to be better than she was. She acknowledged she was a shitty parent. I just had to bring that up. She acknowledged she was a shitty parent, and she actually kind of wanted Summer to be better than her. But yeah, it's like it raises a lot of questions. You know we're going to be finding out about that. So that's really interesting. The thing is, like, the blacksmith said it wasn't about like where they returned to, but when they were needed most. So they're not necessarily returning like to the time that they left or the equivalent amount of time that has passed, whatever it's been, like a couple days maybe. of time that they've actually spent in the ever after. Um, they're not actually going back to the same period of time necessarily. So the time they go back to, it might have been weeks or even months. I doubt it's been longer than that, though. It's probably not been that long because, again, you would have a lot of issues if it were. It's just, I'm definitely going to be interested to see how long it's been. I like that the cat died. I think the cat needed to die at this point. There was no saving them. It was gruesome as fuck, though. Like, Jesus. Like, I don't feel bad for them, but Jesus. I mean, you gotta give some credit to Neo for that one. But yeah, like I said in the pre-thoughts, the message of this volume was healing. This volume wasn't about the pain, the depression, the trauma, but rather the healing that comes from it. In realizing that you're enough. Even through all the trials and tribulations, the pains, the traumas, everything you're going to face. Even when it feels like it might be hopeless sometimes. You are enough. Just by being you. And that's the message of this volume. And that's what's going to propel our heroes to win in the end. To be like the huntresses in the stories that Summer Rose read to her daughters. That is what is going to be the key. And they're going to do this. 100%. So, here's a question. Did this live up to my standards and my beliefs? And what I mean is, if you're watching this, you've probably seen my reactions to the other volumes, and if you haven't, I think I have volume 6 and on this channel. Prior to that was on the old channel that's no longer around because fuck YouTube. But yeah. So you might have heard me say it plenty of times before, but my thought process has been that every volume is better than the last. And I mean that. Like, every volume has been better in terms of story, characters, in terms of pacing, in terms of everything, pretty much. Every volume has been better than the last. So, does this live up to that? Like, is this better than volume 8 and everything that came before it? And I can say the answer is a resounding goddamn right. This volume was needed. After how intense the last couple volumes were, with Atlas and everything, and this one was intense too, but this volume was healing. And that includes for me as a viewer. Because if you remember right, after Volume 8, I was very upset, to put it lightly. I was extremely upset at what had happened to Penny, and I really, was turned away from RWBY for a long time because of it. Because I felt it was the single really bad writing decision that the RWBY made. And I still stand by that. But this volume helped me to come back from that. It reminded me of what I loved about this series, of all the positives that have come from watching this and reacting to this and just enjoying these stories, these characters, the imagination that Monty thought up one day and that he worked on with his friends and made into a reality. It made me fall in love with this series again. And I had already begun to get back into it because of Ghost's reactions I've been watching. Um, and that got me ready and hyped up for Volume 9. But it's like, it was without question this volume that really helped heal me from, honestly, the pain I felt after the last volume. Volume 8 left me with a huge hole in my heart regarding this series. It did. And not because it was bad, it was still the best season as of that point. But again, it's just the Penny thing really hurt me. Like, unbelievably so. And not only did it hurt me, but I just really didn't like it. So I'm very happy that I got an opportunity to get back into this through some reactions, and then fell in love with it again with this volume. My heart's been healed. I've been born anew. But I'm still me. And so what does the future hold? Well, we're obviously going to get Volume 10. If they're coming out with this crossover movie that looks, let's be honest, stupid as hell. If they're coming out with this, they just had that Ice Queendom anime. They just had the game come out. They're doing Volume 10. They're finishing this series. There is no question. The bigger question is how long it's going to take until Volume 10. I'm thinking, I would hope and I would want it to be by the end of this year, but I don't think that's happening. I'm expecting early next year. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. That's my prediction. And I'm very excited for it. And I hope that now that we're going to be out of the Ever After, I hope that we go back to normal season length and everything, and episode length. It's like, especially since they'll have already done the movie and everything by that point, so they won't have to worry about all their budget being blown on that. But yeah, so that's going to be a big deal when that finally does come. But this was great. It was the best season so far, keeping up with the trend, and for a lot of reasons I wasn't expecting. Obviously, it hit personally with the stuff about suicide and depression, and it brought it back from that, as we knew it would. And the final question that we have to answer now is, what is going to replace it? So this is something that I am excited to announce, because it's been like 5 years since we last reacted to this series. Not RWBY, I'm talking about what's replacing RWBY. It has been 5 years, and I was waiting for season 2 for so long, and it was finally announced, and I was excited, and I was like, okay, we're finally getting it. And then it came out, and it's just like, I have had to wait. Well, no more waiting, because we have to rescue Siri, because it's time to go back and join Richard Aldana in Last Man, Season 2. I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited. I am so hype to bring this back. I really enjoyed Season 1. It was mature, but handled in a very good way. Yes, it had nudity. It had a lot of gore and violence, a lot of shocking shit. And it's about time we got back to it with Season 2. Now that Season 2's out, I am excited for this. If you have not seen my reactions to Season 1, they are all on this channel. You can check out my reactions to Last Man Season 1. And I hopefully, if you have already seen it, you're as excited for Season 2 as I am. because this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Also, it's been a fucking long time since I've reacted to anything French, I think. Because it's been quite a while since I reacted to Whack Fu. It's been a while since I did the reaction to Ernest and Celestine. I plan on reacting to the Super Mario movie in French when I can, but it's like, yeah, it's been a while, I think, since I've reacted to any French media, and I'm excited for that as well because I actually really love French media from the little bit I've seen of it. So yeah, Last Man season 2 will be taking the place of RWBY, and that will be happening right away. I know this season is like half the length, I think, of season 1, but all the episodes are also like double length. So it's like it's not really half the length. um Something like that, I think. No. It's half the length. It's like I think it's less than half the length of season 1. But season 1 was also half length episodes. Let me check here. I can actually look this up real quick because I actually have all the episodes downloaded already. Yes, there's 6 episodes and all of them are about 40 minutes each, so double length is what I typically call that. Because I call like normal length is about 22 minutes. Double length is about 40 to 44 minutes. Half length is about 12 minutes. All of the season 1 episodes, like there were, I think, 26 of them, 24 or 26, but they were half length, so it was equatable to 12 episodes. 12 regular length episodes. Or 13. You get the point. So with 6 episodes, but being double length, that's also equatable to 12 regular length episodes. It's the same amount of content. It's the same amount of content. So, pretty much. Maybe not exact, but that's pretty cool. But I'll talk more about that when we get to that. But yeah, I'm just really excited. I hope you guys are excited too. That will be replacing RWBY, like I said, right away. So thank you all who tuned in. And as always, let me know your thoughts down below. What did you think of this finale of RWBY Volume 9? Did you cry at the parts that I feel like you were supposed to cry at? Or are you like me and just cried when somewhat reappeared? It's like, they are baby. They must be protected. I love them. That makes me cry. I didn't cry at the parts that you're probably supposed to cry. Am I the weird one? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts down below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.